The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mindgarden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
It's an in-between season special extra, whatever you want to call it, with the Sandy and Toddcast.
We're kind of silly today. I don't know. We just have had a 45-minute conversation and just started rolling now. And what did you say? We were stupid?
We were stupid because we're talking about what we want to do with the podcast. Because we still both want to do it, but we want to make it magical for everyone again. And I think we were coming up with some good ideas, but I'm like, why don't we just do the podcast about what should we do the podcast about and let people actually respond?
Well, it's true. Like, we both love doing it. It's not even a hobby anymore. It's just fun for us. It's our way to be able to not only connect with all of our friends and followers and everything, but it's for us to connect with each other and get to see each other because we're in different states. But something I just have been feeling like we need to maybe go back towards the beginning. I mean, we've been doing this now over 2 years, and we do it weekly, which is a lot of freaking shows. I actually, on our distribution site, I was on there the other day loading something in, and we've done like almost 130 episodes. So we've run the gambit from, just randomly not knowing what the hell we were doing and, literally being random to having themed seasons. But I think it's time maybe to kind of roll things back a little bit and evolve by going maybe a little bit backwards and bringing us back to kind of like that random, we don't know what we're going to talk about today kind of thing.
I think organized randomness is what we're kind of thinking. Like having a bag of stuff that we can pull from, which is what I think is what we would like to do. Let me just start off this. So after many, many seasons, a show that I've always really enjoyed is known as Dead Files. And it included psychic Amy Allen and Steve DeShavi, who is a retired police officer.
Right. And
basically, the premise of the show, if you've never seen it before, which if you haven't, get some help. They find a family, or a family comes to them that's having paranormal things happen in their home. And I don't know. I was just thinking about this last night. I don't remember if I've ever seen an episode without it being a white family. I can't remember, right? It's always we are tortured souls, us people of non-color.
Us, milky white people apparently attract the ghosties.
And I think if you have a banjo in your house, you're more prone to have something happening too. So at any rate, many seasons, like 13 or 15 seasons, they go to a location. The police officer, Steve DeShavi, goes out and he does all the research. Obviously, he has a team that helps him, and they find out everything that ever happened in that house as far as tragedy and all that. And then Amy, the psychic, comes through with a guy with a camera. I think his name is Matt. He comes through and he films her, and she does a walk through the house, and then they see what matches up and what matches with the family, and there's sketches done and all that kind of stuff.
Now, I just have to throw that in. I think the guy who does it now is like the second cameraman guy, because the first one, Amy married.
Well, no, it's the same guy. Because I remember
I
watched the very first episode last night.
That's right. I knew she married one of them.
I think they were married for a while, and I could be wrong on this, but I think he got the hell out of the relationship because they would be lying in bed at night, and she'd have dead people coming to her. Yeah. So at any rate, I've always really liked that show. And as most shows do, they get very formulaic and this happens here and that happens there. And then they piece it together and blah, blah, blah. Right. But at any rate, Amy, after many seasons, has decided to quit and walk away from that. I hope that they bring her back with some special episodes in the future because I really do like her. I do. She's very odd, but I have to say this. She is. But and remind me to say this because there's something I want to give you a little bit of I can't think of the word. There's a reason why I think you're more like Amy than you are like the person that replaced her, Cindy Kaza. So Cindy's now the person on the show. And apparently, according to the episode I watched last night, it was Amy's decision for them to continue on and ask Cindy to do the show. And the episode with Cindy was good, and I will continue to watch the show. But there is a very big difference between Cindy doing a walkthrough and Amy doing a walkthrough. Oh, with 100%. Cindy gets, and this take nothing away from her, because I do like her. She's great. Fantastic. But she's legit. Yep. But she's also a little bit on the boundary of what's going on. So she gets like generalization feelings about stuff. Okay. Right. She will never say this person looks like or is saying this. It'll just be, I think this is what's happening. A lot of, poltergeist stuff probably happens. Drawers open, dishes break, stuff like that. Amy's the one going. She's standing right there. She's got the smile on her face, blah, blah, blah. Now, Cindy did, by the way, come up with a couple of names which were spot on. But your talent or your gifts remind me more of Amy's in that you actually get visuals and you get things that are going on. You get names. Yeah. And to me, you're a little bit more like Amy in that respect than you are like Cindy. Yeah, I can see why you would say that. And actually, I think that's quite a compliment. I mean, if I were like Cindy, that would be quite a compliment because I like her as well. But the good thing about the thing that I don't seem to be at this point like Amy in is that she sees all these really creepy things, whereas I tend to just stay more with the human spirits that seem to be around. I don't really see all the creepy evil stuff yet. I know I'm always evolving, but yeah, thank you. Because I do like her. I remember the first few seasons, she seemed and now that I look back on it, I think it was a lot more because we had never seen someone like Amy on TV before. I thought she was very over the top. But as the seasons went on and I've seen every season except this one so far. I've noticed, I felt like she calmed down a little bit and was a little more, but I also think that that's because we're more used to seeing these types of psychics and mediums on television than we were, 15 seasons ago. Right. So I do really respect her. And I know that she stopped doing it because doing what she has been doing for so long has taken an emotional, mental, and physical toll on her. In fact, so I watched the most recent one with Cindy on and the most recent one that Amy was on because I had missed 2 weeks. And then just for the hell of it, because I was in the mood, I went all the way back to the first episode of the series. Yeah. Which happened to be in your neck of the woods. I know. And the visual of Amy then and the visual of Amy now, you can see how tired and worn out she is physically. Yeah. And in the beginning, she looked really like young and healthy. And then after a while, she gained some weight and then she backed down a little bit. But now she looks more dry. Like you can see the change in her over all of these years. Definitely. And which just, by the way, reaches into a lot of the stuff you and I talk about with people who do have those gifts and people who are empathic and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it really does wear the shit out of you if you're not careful. You have, in the last several months, you have really gotten into visiting cemeteries and telling those stories and having those conversations, and that's great. But even you will come back from like a weekend or 3 days or something and go, oh my God, like I forgot how much that takes out of me.
It does, because you don't think of it. It's not really investigating, which we've talked about investigating before. When I'm done investigating, I am literally of no use for at least a day and a half, maybe 2 days after that, because it's so draining. And I don't think I realized that speaking, because it's not investigating. It's just, it's very personal. It's more like a passion. It's more like an educational thing, that I'm going through. And I kind of realized, we were discussing it last weekend, that sometimes when I'm having these conversations with people who have passed, I feel them there as well. Like, not every time. But a lot of the time I'm picking up on them and I'm feeling them, and I feel a little shaky, and I feel like I can't concentrate as much. So I can feel that they're using my energy, obviously, to help them. And so it's a draining thing. So I can, and because I've been doing it a lot, I actually told you last weekend, I got to calm down with it a little bit, because I've been doing it so much that I feel like I don't even sleep as well anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of taking a little bit. I did it this weekend, just a little bit, but
it's like her drug. She's got to have her fix.
Well, because I feel like I'm helping them, and I feel like I'm helping myself, because I'm learning so much more, and isn't it the key to kind of learn about yourself in the process, especially when you have these abilities that you're working through? I've leveled up so much in the past couple of years that I look back on how I was before to today, and it's like amazing, but it also tires you out. So I can completely understand how doing 15 seasons of that show, of like, how many episodes, Todd? Like 13 episodes?
Yeah, something like that.
How that can just completely drain you. And it's not like they go in like we do for a night and then they're done. This filming takes days for each episode. So I can completely understand her metamorphosis, her change over these seasons, and why it would be so hard and so taxing for her. Even just, I've been very fortunate to be able to put up boundaries, not only as an empath. I'd say I'm about 80% of the way there with my boundaries as an empath. But also with the psychic abilities that I have, I don't just necessarily go to the burger joint down the street and see dead people or feel dead people. It's when I put that intention in front of me that there's the possibility. That's when. So boundaries, but even boundaries can't stop you from being worn down. And so I can completely understand that. But I'm looking forward to it. I haven't watched this season yet. So Dave and I are going to binge watch them probably. We're going away in a couple weeks. And we're probably going to binge watch them while we're there. But I can certainly see why she would be ready to stop.
Yep.
And I certainly think that Cindy would be a great replacement. But that shows you, like you said, that just shows you the differences. All psychics, all mediums are different in certain ways. No two are exactly alike. What I might pick up on, maybe somebody else doesn't, and vice versa. And so that's why I think it's so cool to be able to see the two dynamics in the show. We've spent all this time with Amy Ellen. Now we have Cindy Kaza, and they are different.
Yeah.
So it's going to be cool. It's going to be really neat.
Yeah.
But
so back to our podcast.
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
But I think that's the kind of stuff that we do bring to the podcast. Like, we can talk about stuff like that and how it affects us and what we think about things in the paranormal world and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think people relate to it. And I also think that you and I are just damn funny sometimes and goofy. And I think everybody kind of likes that. I'd be really interested in seeing what you guys think, our listeners, our followers, our friends who have just started listening or who have been with us since episode 1, which I think wasn't episode 1 the Amityville house? I think we were talking about the Amityville.
It either was
horror.
1 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the first one was we basically just said that we didn't know what we were doing.
Right. And it was your podcast, and I was only here to be, like side commentary.
And then Bejesus came into the idea. And
then Bejesus showed up. Then there was some live video crap and lots of guests, which, many of them were just outstanding. There were a couple that were like,
oh, man, we got to do some more.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
we have to do a few more lives, too. I know people really like our lives and want to check out what we're up to. So maybe we should do a couple lives. But I'd love to hear what everybody thinks. You can email us, you can message us. We're really accessible. You can go into our group. Let us know what you want. Do you want us to bring back weird news? We could bring back weird news. We could talk about, Todd and, his quirkiness, because I have plenty to talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about me and how weird I am. And we could do all kinds of stuff. So if anybody has any ideas, we'd love to. We want to kind of, I wouldn't say a major overhaul, just kind of tweak it and see what we want to do next.
I think it's going to be more grab bag and...
like the randomness. Like, there's been a lot of times when I've had weird things happen or seen weird things during the week. And I'm like, we should probably talk about these on the show. So that's not a theme. That's just weirdness that we experience. So maybe we should, go back to some stuff.
Well, we'll figure it out.
New stuff, whatever it is.
Old stuff. Oh, she froze on me. Now I'm getting the spinning wheel. Stand by. Is Sandy back? Sandy is back, ladies and gentlemen. Nice round of applause.
We have storms in the area, so. Does anybody want us to do some more Twisted Towns? Those were fun. We could do Twisted Towns. We could do true crime. We could do all kinds of stuff. So just let us know what you guys like. And we'd love to, do some stuff. It may be something different every week. We just don't know at this point. So.
Well, I think that'll wrap up our little special fill-in podcast for the week.
Yep.
And when do we start the actual new season? Is it next week?
Next week already.
Okay.
Next week already. So, if you guys have any ideas, let us know. Todd, I'd really like to I was kind of poking around in our group in Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. I was really poking around to see if anybody would be interested. I noticed that in our group, we could do group video chats. So I'd really like to do one with you and I and see if any of our group members would like to get together maybe on a Sunday night for a half hour, 45 minutes and just BS a little bit and talk. So
you can take care of those. I would be more than happy to watch you do that. Yeah.
I think it would be neat, though, to get to know everybody on a little different level. So I may do one of those, too.
That sounds good.
I know. So, okay, you guys tell us what you want. We're going to kind of figure out what we want to do next week. It's all going to be a grab bag. It's going to be grab bag of surprises. Okay. We may not know what we're doing.
I was just thinking, too, maybe we could get the people that we're close with who maybe are card readers and stuff like that to give us a general reading for the week to come.
That's a very cool idea.
It could just be an audio track from them. And and I'm going to reach out and I'll get our first one for next week.
Okay, let's do it. I'm excited about that.
See how the creative process works, people. I come up with all the ideas.
Okay,
and then
that's not true. That's so not true.
We could do a Sunday night thing, and we could just be sitting in our pajamas and eating corn chips and real talk.
Like you do every week? Yeah,
that's the point. I don't want to give that up in order to do a live on a Sunday night.
I saw you today, and I was expecting you to be all tired and miserable, and you were all cheerful and giggly. I'm like, what is going on?
It's just a show. I am seriously, I am absolutely exhausted. I have not been this unhappy with my work in years.
I'm not laughing at
No, you
that.
are.
I'm just
it's
laughing
fine
because I know.
It's fine.
I know.
It's really fine. And so if anybody knows of a job that needs a guy that can bullshit talk on the air, or I could do some light cleaning.
Well, you know what? Too bad we can't. We would be great with a morning show. Too bad we can't do a morning show at like 3 p.m, because that would be great. I'm not getting up early again to save my life. One stint as a morning show host, getting up at 3:30 in the morning was more than enough for me.
Yeah, I would.
So let's do a morning show at 3 p.m. I'll take
the AM PM show with Sandy and Todd.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, guys, we'll be back next week with episode 1 of season 9.
All right. Till then, bye.
You can find the Sandy and Toddcast on any of the platforms that you normally find your podcasts, including YouTube and Twitter. Be sure to like the Sandy and Toddcast on Facebook to keep up on the latest goings-on, including each week's episode. You can also join our group, Stay Weirdos, friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, for more fun. Stay Weirdos is a safe place to share your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and random inappropriate memes without judgment. Sandy and Todd also have a podcast called the Empathecary Podcast. It's for empaths, by empaths. And if you know an empath, you might want to listen too. Find and like the page on Facebook. And finally, if you're thinking about starting your own podcast and just aren't sure where to start, Sandy and Todd can also help with that too. Mindgarden Media is their latest project where the dynamic duo can guide you every step of the way in your podcasting journey. Editing, producing and consulting is what they do. Like Mindgarden Media on Facebook or email them at themindgardenmedia@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for staying weird.